Do you want to learn how to get your business big by starting small? That's what we're going to cover today on the HyperFast show. We've got an amazing guest who started off as a military expert, really focused on the principle that the riches are in the niches, became a branding and marketing expert, and now is doing millions of dollars a year in business in the DMV market. Welcome to the show, Karen Hall. All right, welcome to the show, Karen. How are you doing today?
Excellent.
So great to have you on. I'm super excited. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about with what you're doing in your business and just life in general. But before we do that, let's just give people a quick background on who you are, how you got into real estate, and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, my husband was in the military, and when he got out of the military, we moved to Northern Virginia. We could pick anywhere we wanted to start a home, and had a really bad experience buying our first house. That was in 2004, which you guys know was a little bit crazy back then. And I just kind of came away with it with like, this is not how you treat people that are going through the most stressful time of their life, and I could do it better. And that prompted me to get my real estate license in 2004. And so just did the realtor, real estate agent thing. And then I think around 2011 hit another crossroads where I really saw the value proposition of agents really needing to change to be relevant and valuable to consumers, and then just broke out and started my own brokerage. So we own a brokerage in Old Town Alexandria together called At Home Real Estate. And right now it's kind of a brokerage, but looking to build out a team a little bit. So
great. How many agents do you have now?
We have about a dozen right now. We usually try to keep it under 20, but we do all the marketing for them and then all their, help desking 24/7. So we try to keep it a little small so we can focus on that customization for each agent.
Cool. I didn't think I knew for some reason I didn't know that your husband was military. So, or maybe I forgot.
My whole family actually. So my dad was Navy, he was Army, and then my father-in-law was Air Force JAG. So that's how it's always been kind of my specialty since I got in.
Awesome. So do you guys get more, military clients and deal with VA loan and more of that?
Yeah, 100%. Trying to set yourself up in a new state where you know nobody and nothing even about real estate. Day one, I just said, I'm a military specialist, a relocation specialist. And now you fast forward and I actually helped create or contribute to the MRP certification for NAR. And I'm just known as a resource. I even help them sometimes on, legislation issues for housing. And even now I'll have people contact me from across the country that they know that I know military. And that's really been a huge source of my business.
I think you bring up a good point. And, for people listening, like I started with a very narrow niche geographically. And of course, a lot of people always think that strategy means like focus on this one area, but it doesn't. It can be like a tight knit group of people or industry or what have you. And, I think by focusing on that military niche, it probably gave you the business at first to then go out and expand and do more and help more clients. And I think a lot of people starting out, they try to go too broad and be everything to everybody. And it just doesn't make the same impact when you decide to fish in a smaller pond.
I literally just said that to an agent yesterday, and I was advising a newer agent, and I said, newer agents get in, and the number one mistake they make is trying to be the jack of all trades because they don't want to miss on anything, or they try to be everything to everyone, was my wording as well. And I'm like, if you focus on who you are authentically, like what sets you apart, like what are you passionate about, what do you uniquely know, and dig into that, and that's what's going to set you apart competing. In Virginia alone, we have 34,000 realtors. So you can't win on statistics and everybody trying to claim they're number one at the same time. But you focus on something that's authentically you, and people absolutely consider you the expert, and it trumps all of that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, there's power, there's the quote, the riches are in the niches, but when you apply it, the cool thing is like, you don't have to have a ton of resources, a ton of money, a ton of even time, although that helps, especially at first. But uh, you don't have to have all of that stuff to make an impact and have a quick start. So walk us through, like, what was it like starting out? How did you become the military expert and brand yourself as that, and then go out and actually get that business?
It's kind of funny. People still, it's kind of a legacy brand. I'm huge into branding and marketing nowadays. I'm super passionate about that. But starting out, I didn't know that. And so my thing was, okay, I'm going to go with the military. So I literally went out and bought a giant impact yellow H2 Hummer and put my graphics all over it. I ended up on NPR radio, radio stations, and it just got a splash more than anything. Like, nowadays we refer to like beats and booms in social media, but we didn't have that back then. So it definitely made an impact. And then I guess just it kind of snowballed from there, that you in the military community especially is unique, where someone will send you a referral just because once upon a time, not even at the same duty time, you both were at Fort Drum, New York. And it's like, Karen was once assigned at Fort Drum, and they're like, oh, okay, land of the frozen chosen. She can help me. She understands me. And, just having that connection is all we're trying to get. And it just built from there. I've got clients, literally this week, a client closed that I'd helped them already, rent a house. Then they bought a house. Then we sold that house. They PCS'd away. They moved back and we bought another house, and now they're going to sell their house again. And so it really does create longevity, and those relationships and your sphere of influence becomes super tight, and they even know each other.
And did you get on the radio shows because of the Hummer, or did you pay to be on them, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah. So someone actually saw me driving around in the Hummer and took a picture and handed it off to a reporter at WAMU, and they're like, find this person. And they called me up and they said, can we actually follow you around on like a home inspection? So they followed me around for a whole entire day and really talked about the difference between working with military clients and civilian clients. And it just kind of went from there. And it's funny because I'll run into somebody now, maybe an agent I haven't seen in 7 years, and they'll come out of a house and they're like, oh, you're the Hummer lady. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I actually did just bring it back. I retired it for a while, but I just go around town now and a Hummer again. So it came back.
That's an amazing branding strategy, and I think you were like right on point with it for your target market. I was back on the submarine in those years, 2004, 5, 6. So I know like a lot of the guys on the boat, when they re-enlisted and got their bonus, I was like, the first thing they want to do is, and this is not we're not giving out financial advice here, but this is just observation. They'd take that re-enlistment bonus and go get the Hummers. So
it's definitely a talking piece.
Yeah, I think you had the right idea there, and you've continued with the car theme, right? I've seen a lot of posts lately with the really different cool cars. So what are you into these days?
It's amazing how it evolves, right? Like I find so many agents don't even understand that branding and marketing are two different things. And so I always, in teaching agents, like, marketing is activities that you do to try to, get business or get things out there. But the community really decides who you are, and that's your brand. And so it's funny how it's evolved to now. I didn't really, grow up, like, I wasn't like a car chick or whatnot. But now people know me for like CrossFit and dogs and wine and steak nights and cars. And so we do have 8 vehicles at this point. But they all have different uses. Some days I drive 3 different cars. So, it's definitely branding. It's practical, but now people are like, oh, I saw you here. I saw you there. Oh, I saw a Maserati, or I saw a Hummer, or a Defender. And it's constantly reminding them of things. So it works to my advantage, but I just get to enjoy it in the process.
Where do you keep them all?
My neighbors probably hate me because we have, 2 are away at college. They are, one's my son's at college and one's my other young driver. I did a garage makeover. Now 2 will fit in the garage, but yeah, I think my neighbors probably just don't even know what to do with me at this point. Who knows?
Gotcha. No, I love the branding, and it's just kind of interesting that it started with the Hummer and the play on the military, and it's cool to see what it's evolved to. So can you walk us through a little bit of like how it grew beyond just the military and kind of where you see it today?
Yeah, and I think the heart of it started with the military. And when I started out, I didn't have a sphere of influence here in Virginia, so I did kind of rely on that little bit of uniqueness. The Hummer, especially, people would think they had seen me in their neighborhood all the time when I hadn't even been there. So it was that constant recognition. But it really, you start with something, and then you just have to be consistent and diligent about the relationships of it. So a lot of people try to build, or contact or reach out to their sphere of influence, but they don't do it religiously or strategically. And so now that's where we've evolved into really the quality of the things that I give to my sphere of influence or whatnot is kind of become part of my brand, but it really is the diligence of those relationships. And that's how, military or civilian, they still recommend me or refer me, or they come back to me. So I think that's the heart of it all, is really, leveraging your sphere of influence.
And what kind of challenges have you seen, the military buyer, the military seller have that you think are unique to them compared to most buyers and sellers? And what have you done to solve those challenges for them?
It's completely different. So many people don't realize everything's different. Your definition of home is completely different for starters. It's shelter, and you're going to maybe be there 2-3 years, and then you're going to move on. So future rentability or resale, super important. Honestly, they don't even, trying to explain to someone what BAH is, or the money you get for housing, or what an LES is, just having that off of them, that stress off of them, is huge. And being able to connect them with lenders that actually, a lot of people say they're VA friendly or familiar, but you need to understand it, or you can completely mess up someone's transaction. So having connections to those resources like lending, they really does understand the nuance of military. But like I said, it's a completely different, their time constraints are different. You don't even necessarily get time to come here ahead of time and house hunt. Your boots on the ground for 2 days and find it. So the number of houses you're seeing in a day is different. Literally everything is different.
Have you seen more challenges since March, since the pandemic and the lockdowns? Because I know I've got some buddies who are still in, and they've had PCSs. First, I think they were completely put on hold, and then maybe the restrictions have loosened up, but it's still harder to get the PCS, the movement than normal. And I think on our team, we saw a couple of these happen right in the middle of transactions, and I'm pretty sure we worked through all of that. But what have you been seeing with the PCS and the challenges that they face now?
Yeah, it was super interesting because I've already sold helped more people buy homes and sell homes this year than I did all of last year, which is saying something when you're in the middle of a pandemic. And you say that my bulk of my business is military, and they had a freeze on their orders. But I had at one point, I think about 3 clients who weren't even here, and they bought houses. They had not even seen them. So they relied on me to go see the houses, FaceTime them, manage the paperwork. I did the home inspection. They didn't see them until way after closing, because then I was babysitting the house and checking on it until their orders got unfrozen. So I had at least 3 clients that was kind of the process they went through, where I know a lot of people would never even fathom buying a home of $600,000 without, seeing it. But what I actually found unique as an advantage that I haven't seen in my entire career is a lot of times sellers don't really favor VA loans. They prefer conventional loans for whatever their constructs are. They just do. And I started leveraging look, times are uncertain. If you have civilian employment or income, they may not even have their job. And if they have it now, they may not have it in 2 weeks. And so my veteran or my military person, they've got about the most rock solid, income guarantee that you could have right now. And I was actually able to beat out a lot of conventional offers that were even higher than what my client was offering. So I just started leveraging it as an ability and an asset for a change where it's usually not.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think a lot of times agents get confused about the VA loan, and they think it's not as great as the conventional loan and other, for whatever reason. But
Right.
You bring up a lot of good points. Like there's far less chance of a VA buyer losing their job than a conventional buyer
Exactly.
which would kill the deal. And the debt to income ratio is much higher. The lenders can be much more aggressive on qualifications. Like they can get exceptions I've seen as high as like 60% DTI, and most conventional loans can't go above like 43, I think. So there's a number of things that actually make it stronger, but so few agents are able to sell that to the listing agent.
Exactly. And then the VA loan limit got lifted in January, so it kind of was a perfect storm, you know?
Yeah, so you said your business, despite military lockdowns, despite the pandemic, your business is up this year, or already ahead of last year, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, so I in total last year I did I have the numbers in front of me, but it was about 10 million, I think 19 transactions. And then as of now, or January to August, I'm at that number now. So I'm looking forward to 4 more months still, to go and help more families. Yeah, so like I said, it's just all relationships. People really want that right now.
And you might beat it by as much as 50% or more, right? If I'm doing the math right with the time. Yeah. So what do you credit this success to, this increasing your business despite these times?
Like I said, I think relationships is become more important, where my sphere of influence is even more responsive. They appreciate that, we're trying to, like, a simple example of that, and that's not the entirety of my success boom, but thinking about things differently, where if you send notes to someone right now, like a spirit person in your sphere of influence, if you send them a little packet of like handwritten notes and are like, hey, blank note cards, and say, we're all disconnected right now, on my postage, send these notes to some of your people and just send them a little bit of positivity. Well, now you've got the power of social media, where someone takes a picture and says, my agent did this, while other agents are sending me just soul postcards. So it kind of gets more powerful, those relationships. But honestly, my biggest success is I started investing more in myself as a business person, hired some amazing mentors, and became, paid the price that it is worth it to get into some groups with some phenomenal people. I just spent from 9 to 11:15 this morning, I was on a mastermind call with an amazing mind of 6 people. And again, it's just investing in yourself in those things. You may not be able to attend events right now and conferences, but you can certainly still invest in finding mentors and leaders and people that you look up to.
Yeah, and you've been a part of the HyperFast, our coaching program, for a while now. We've certainly enjoyed having you on the calls and in our office and all the trainings that we do. And I think a big part of it too, in addition to investing yourself, is your mindset, right? Like you seem to have a very strong mindset when it comes to challenges, adversity. Is that correct?
I like that I'm that annoying chick that every morning is posting the motivational, inspirational quote on Facebook or Instagram. But if I don't, people reach out to me and they're like, where's my quote? Like, that's how they start their day. But with all the pandemic and COVID happened, and I just saw it as opportunities. It's opportunities to do things different. It's opportunities to serve people different, even understanding that people's definition of home is different. So I just tried really hard. I mean, I know everyone's struggling with that right now. The world's a little bit crazy. But I haven't even watched news in years. I don't even really watch TV. I start off my morning with the same 2 cups of coffee and reviewing something inspirational and motivational. And I listen to music a lot, just about all the time. But I think it's 100% mindset and mentality. And I don't do well with people that think they're victim of circumstance. I'm like, you can always find a solution. I love Marie Forleo, that's like, everything is figure outable. So just kind of digging into that. I think that's literally how you create your environment and your world and what your opportunities are.
And then I think I also see you're involved in a lot of CrossFit, correct?
That's become part of my outlet or my brand. CrossFit is one of my outlets, but again, like, going there and just being me is pretty cool, because I'm just there to connect with people and do my thing. And I've even had clients from CrossFit, but it was because I went there and we had something in common, and I didn't go there and be a realtor. I just went to CrossFit to do my thing. I let them do their thing. And then it turns out they wanted to buy a house with me. So
No, I think the common theme in all of this really is just consistency. Like, um, I see it in your real estate business, see it in the cars, see it in the CrossFit, the social media posting, just being consistent, having that positive mindset. It goes a long way. Was there ever a time when the pandemic first happened, lockdown started happening, or anything that's been going on that you were like scared, just even if it was just for a second, or were you just always powering through?
So I would say it's kind of the reverse, where in the beginning it didn't really. I think again because I've kind of removed myself from news a little bit, so I kind of focus in my own little world and what I can control. So it didn't really get to me again, but I am struggling with it a little bit now, to be honest, because I think at this point we've been dealing with a new normal, and I'm actually afraid that that's going to become the new normal. I am really struggling with the world right now. When you have schools closed down and businesses are closed down, like I did a phase of rallying behind small local businesses and how important those are to the community. But I'm worried that this is going to become the new normal, and I don't want it to be. So I am a little fearful of where the world and the community is going. And that's not even, relating it to my business. It's just life in general. So I'm struggling a little more these days than I was kind of in the beginning. But, just trying to keep controlling what you can. That's about all you can do.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard that from a number of successful people. My triathlon coach used to say that, to like, control the controllables and not worry about everything else. And I think it all applies, and it's an inspiration to see how you're handling it and forging ahead in life and business. So thank you for that. And we always end with our HyperFast round, if you're ready for some rapid fire
Yeah.
questions. Awesome. What would be your biggest advice right now to a brand new agent?
Set your sphere of influence strategically as your base. Like that's your foundation. Start with my quote this week, or one was, you feel like you've got a whole wall in front of you, just focus on one brick. Because everyone that's new right now, you don't know where to go, what direction, and there's all these shiny pennies and things coming at you. Just focus on one brick at a time. And instead of trying to punch through the wall, just build your foundation. But start with your relationships. You probably know more people than you think you do.
What's been your biggest challenge ever in your real estate business, and what did you do to overcome it?
My biggest challenge, Keri, is a positive thing for me. I'm always tend to be that girl in the room that has the answers, the solutions, or the creative problem solving and the ideas. And I've actually struggled with finding really good, strong businesswomen that I considered mentors that I would look up to. And I think she's probably been the first one. And so going 15 years in my career and not having that, I think was a big struggle and a handicap. And so I give her huge props for that.
All right. What advice would you give to a real estate investor right now?
Ooh, that's tough, and it depends on where you are for sure. I mean, I would say seek out resources that people that specialize in that if you're an investor, but you got to get off market connections 100%, because buyers right now are so desperate with the availability. We have no houses and the interest rates are basically nothing. And so buyers are like, I'll take whatever house and I can fix it up. So I think you're competing with those people now that you didn't used to have to. So I think investors is just finding the right resources that can get you into things off market, really.
Yeah, I agree, especially when it comes to residential. It might be a little different for non-residential type of investments, but for residential in most areas, you gotta find the deal off market if you want to get the best possible deal. If you're not doing real estate, what would we find you doing?
It's usually I am working. I'm working. I'm listening to music. I'm maybe hanging out with my dogs and crossfitting usually, but that's once a day. So or driving a car. Who knows?
Awesome. Last one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I think in 5 years, my goal is to actually have, my goal would be to get other people that kind of look up to me, kind of like Keri does, where I'm better at growing other people's success. That's where my heart is, but I got to get the systems in place to do it. So I want to have a business. It allows me to have that balance of enjoying my family and, being super successful, but that success is at the heart of doing it for others so that I have more freedom to give to others.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show. Before we wrap up, can you just tell people what areas of real estate you cover and how they can connect with you on social media or otherwise if people are interested in, connecting with you, learning more about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, and DC. I do kind of specialize in military, but we can help anybody. We also have a specialization in home renovations. So if people just don't want to waste money and make bad decisions about how to improve, so I can help out anybody in any of those markets with that. My Instagram handle is at Karen M. Hall. Our company website is at home or homedcmetro.com. And yeah, you can shoot me a text. You can Google me. I have a Facebook business page, but just DM me.
All right. Well, yeah, connect with Karen. She is a amazing resource when it comes to real estate and branding, marketing, and just overall being consistent. So thanks again for being on the show. Everyone out there listening, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos. I'll see you next time.